Maintaining security in Lagos has remained an uphill task for security personnel, as well as lives are still being threatened, lost, as well as property stolen on daily basis. Although police personnel are back on their beat, the situation has persisted. An update on the spate of crime in Lagos is our focus on Panorama today, coming to you live from the Lagos Network Center. I am Adeola Komiakiri. President Muhammadu Buhari would be represented by Vice President Yemi Osinbajo at Sierra Leone's 60th Independence Day celebration taking place today in the country's capital, Freetown. A release by Laolu Akonde, Senior Special Assistant to the President on Media and Publicity in the Office of the Vice President, stated that the Vice President would be joining several other heads of state and government from Africa and beyond who are expected at the event. The Vice President, who left Abuja this morning, would be accompanied by the Foreign Affairs Minister of State, Ambassador Zubairu Dada, among others, and he is expected back in Abuja later today. The National Agency for the Prohibition of Trafficking in Persons, NAPTEP, says effective collaboration with government will go a long way to curbing human trafficking and related offenses across the country. Director General of the agency, Hajia Imam Suleiman Ibrahim, stated this during a courtesy visit to Governor Babajide Sanwo-Olu at the State House in Lagos. Details of this will come in a subsequent bulletin. Moving on now, a warehouse filled with 100 containers of substandard tires has been discovered in the Bafo axis of Ogun State, while a syndicate was also arrested in the process. The concern surrounding this is how goods of such magnitude would have escaped checks at the seaport, which is invariably sustaining conversation on the need to return the standard organizations of Nigeria to the seaport. Michael Olaleye reports.
On the 19th of September 2020, 8 persons were burnt to death in a lone accident involving a Mazda bus on the popular Lagos-Ibadan Expressway. The cause was not far-fetched. One of the tires went up in flames while in motion. This warehouse, located in a remote outpost of Lagos State, can best be described as tire park. This is because thousands are scattered all around, with more than 4 squeezed into one to compress the volume. Sadly, they are similar in quality to the ones which claimed 9 lives.
Only God knows how many of these warehouses are hidden somewhere in the bushes and in different towns around the country. Don't forget, this country is wide, so I will not be surprised if there are not other stores even in the north like this. So it's a very dangerous trend, and this is why we are still emphasizing that the best way to enforce is to be at the port of entry.
The importer is a foreigner whose identity is still unknown, but Emmanuel Imbabi was arrested along with the consignments.
They call them from where?
The middle-aged man, obviously nonchalant of the gravity of this offense, did not even understand the implications of flooding the market with substandard tires.
Because if you want to use tire on his vehicle, he do take tire from here. So like all those ones, if you put it on the rim and pump it, it will just balance on the rim.
Based on the challenges associated with the use of tires of this nature, the next line of action is for the agency to destroy them, while reiterating a stance against the importation of substandard products. In Lagos, Michael Alale, NTA News.
Tackling the challenges of insecurity in the country by addressing the welfare and infrastructural needs of security operatives is the right way to go. but it is one that requires broad synergy among relevant institutions. The Executive Secretary of the Nigerian Police Trust Fund, Ahmed Aliyu Sokoto, said this during a visit to the Nigerian Ports Authority in Lagos. Mike Adeniyi Taiwo reports.
Set up by the Nigerian Police Trust Fund Establishment Act 2019, the Trust Fund has a mandate to provide funds for training and welfare of personnel of the Nigerian Police, as well as provide infrastructure needed by the force to secure the nation. Apart from earning 0.5% of total revenue of the Federation account, the Act also mandates companies operating in the country to support the fund with 0.005% of their profits.
Within the shortest period.
This visit to the Nigerian Port Authority by the top management of the fund, led by its Executive Secretary Ahmed Aliyu Sokoto, is part of the drive to garner needed support towards the realization of its mandate, especially now that the infrastructural need of the police is made more acute by attacks on its facilities.
Presently, the trust fund depends substantially on the revenue accruing in the Federation account. It is obvious that this source of revenue alone cannot sustain the trust fund and the attainment of its mandate.
Managing Director of NPA, Adiza Bala Usman, acknowledged the need for public and private institutions to support security agencies using such platforms as Nigerian Police Trust Fund.
We have seen the way Nigerian police force was stretched during the NSAS protest, and that is an area where all of us as Nigerian citizens recognize the gap that exists and recognize the need for agencies of government and indeed private sector to accommodate and provide the necessary support to build a police force that would enable us provide the attendant security needed.
The collaboration between the two agencies is expected to be replicated as management of the Nigerian Police Trust Fund continues its consultation with other institutions. In Lagos, Adeniyi Taiwo, NTA News.
You are still watching Panorama on the network service of the NTA. We'll take a break now. Panorama continues shortly. To stay.
Coronavirus is dangerous. It can kill. When you see this sign, high fever, cough, shortness of breath, drowsiness, pneumonia, don't panic, don't hide, don't embark in self-medication. Promptly visit the nearest medical facility. Report all cases to the nearest hospital. Prevention is key. Avoid contact with infected persons. Avoid crowded areas as much as possible. Wash your hands regularly. Use hand sanitizers. Your life is precious. Stay alive. Live long, live right. This message is sponsored by the Federal Ministry of Information and Culture and the Nigerian Film Corporation. Nigerian Film Corporation, powering possibility.
Thank you for staying with us. There is a growing concern about security of lives and property in Lagos State as suspected criminals continue to mount brazen attacks on innocent citizens. Adeniyi Taiwo reports that the spike in crime has necessitated calls for effective countermeasures to tackle the menace.
In terms of opportunities and challenges, Lagos State is unique in dimension and proportion. Despite several measures, security remains a critical challenge for the state as old and emerging crimes such as cultism, armed robbery, kidnapping and sneak attacks on motorists by hoodlums continue to rear their heads.
Intermittently, you begin
Darasimi, not a real name, and Henry Obioma are both living with the scar and trauma of their encounter in the hands of armed robbers who operate one chance, a street coinage for organized robbery in commercial vehicles.
I was beaten. I even sustained some internal muscle infraction, which I had to go to see a physiotherapist. And my account was cleared.
He stepped out of the vehicle and was acting as though he was going to rectify the problem, came to me, opened the door, took away my bag, searched my breast pockets, and took away the money I had just withdrawn from the ATM.
Sad as it sounds, they feel lucky to be alive as dead men do not tell tales.
That same day, even a corpse was found around the axis where I was dropped. A man, and his private parts and eyes taken away.
See, there are areas where you need to wait till sundown, till like 6:37 before you're able to move freely and confidently, because you are not sure if you're going to be attacked by someone.
Between January and mid-March 2021, police records indicate that 234 armed robbery suspects were arrested, 343 cultists nabbed, while 1,592 hoodlums were raided. 91 cases of rape and defilement were recorded, while 31 vehicles were stolen.
We have to struggle to provide an enabling and conducive environment for people to get engaged.
Everybody should be a watchdog to ensure that at least the security situation is a bit fair.
As the lead agency in internal security, the police say they are currently evolving proactive measures to roll back crime prevalence in the state.
He provided motorbikes for them so that they'll be able to maneuver in between some of these traffic lines to see how we can get rid of these boys who foment troubles or who rob or attack vehicle motorists, passengers or commuters in traffic.
It is believed that for Darasimi and other residents of Lagos to roam free and secure, all hands must be on deck and willing to stamp out criminality. Adini Itaiwo, NTA News.
Now to speak more on the situation, the security situation in Lagos State, is Roy Oame Ohideve, a retired military personnel. Hello, Roy. Thank you for joining us on Panorama today.
Thank you. It's always a pleasure.
Okay, now let's go straight. What is your assessment of the security situation in Lagos? Can you hear me? I said, what is your assessment of the security situation in Lagos State?
Well, we have gotten opportunities, so many opportunities to give growing insecurity situations around the country, and just like we have issues in Cameroon, in Chad, and it's flowing, getting into Nigeria. So definitely other states' insecurity will also flow into Lagos State. And don't forget that Lagos State is one of the commercial hub of the country. And Lagos State is trying to be a very neutral state where everybody can claim ownership. So right now, as I speak to you, there are different nationals, different tribes, and a catchment of undocumented people and a lot of unpoliced spaces. So if we say Lagos State is sitting pretty, that would be a wrong statement. Follow on.
Okay, now most Lagos residents complain of inadequate policing. Do you agree?
Yeah, definitely. The whole of the country is having this current situation because of the movement of persons and unbalanced emotional issues that have been arising. If you look at so many cases that have not been sorted out, so many people needed to have been spoken to appease their grievances. And even after the NSAS situation, you agree with me that the security agencies have not made peace with the people. So definitely there's this crisis of individuality, and the groups that are having this challenge are also ensuring that they speak to the government, but the police itself is handicapped because there's a lot of politics going on that needs to be, a lot of elders in the society also need to come together.
Okay, now having that at the back of our minds, what do you think people can do to stay safe from crimes, especially robbery?
We will definitely will continue to advise citizens because if you look at movement of persons at odd hours, we are beginning to see areas in Lagos State that have black spots and traffic robbery situation. We are beginning to see some certain areas of the country that are not safe at night and very early in the morning. So people should monitor the times that they go out, the type of gathering that they come into, and online too. There's so much scam online where people are invited to very risky rendezvous. So be careful where you go, who invites you, and what type of invitations that you honor. And the people doing online business also, like some young ladies that do makeup artists and all these tailors, when you are invited on your online customer attraction, make sure people are aware of where you are going to and speak to your friends.
Thank you very much, Mr. Roy Ohideve. We appreciate your comments and your time with us on Panorama today.
Thank you very much. It's always a pleasure.
Now, not done with security issues at the moment. Following the attacks on Okigwe South Area Command Headquarters and Douglas area of Owerri, the state capital is witnessing difficulty in vehicular movement arising from increased security measures. Marian Vincent Oko, who visited some of the major roads, brings us details.
Attack on Okigwe South Area Command Headquarters by unidentified gunmen is one out of the several attacks on security outfits in Imo State. The incident left 5 officers dead, while the whereabouts of one is yet to be ascertained. Just as the people were yet to come to terms with that incident, the Douglas area in Owerri was hit by attackers, which created fear among residents of the densely populated area. A visit to the area at about 8 o'clock this morning, however, shows that normalcy has returned as business activities have picked up. The impact of the security situation in Imo State is taking its toll on the state capital, as major roads are now witnessing gridlock, arising mostly from some of the security measures put in place.
Trekking from down there to here to make it, you can't even move with cars again. If you check the time you will spend on hold up and other things, you prefer parking the car, take a shuttle. Maybe when you stop, you can trek and make up your time.
This is going to cripple everything that has to do with the economy of this state. Yesterday, I had to drop my car. That was why I'm not driving this.
It's very bad. It's very fearful. The people of Owerri don't know what to do now.
The people are eagerly hoping that the situation will be brought under control so that normalcy can be restored. In Owerri, Marian Vincent Oko, NTA News.
Nigeria could experience a third wave of the COVID-19 pandemic if complacent attitude to COVID-19 protocols continues among the citizenry. Chairman of the Presidential Steering Committee on COVID-19 and Secretary to the Government of the Federation, Bus Mustafa, at the national briefing says Nigeria is on red alert, going by the current experience of India. Mitaire Ikpe reports.
It's the first briefing since the transformation of the Presidential Task Force to the Presidential Steering Committee on COVID-19, PSC. India's alarming COVID-19 infection and fatality rate is already sending shivers around the world. Although Nigeria's case positivity rate is less than 2.5% and cases requiring oxygen have drastically reduced, the PSC says Nigerians cannot afford to let down their guards.
Let's not be deceived. There will be a third wave. If what is happening in other jurisdictions is anything to go by, COVID-19 is not likely to go away very, very soon as we expect it to.
Cases in India and Turkey are of particular concern to us, and also Brazil. We must take this plight they have as a strong warning.
While we are opening these international flights, there is also a risk. That is the risk of importation of additional cases into the country. This calls for increased vigilance from the Federal Ministry of Health, the Port Health Authority.
We cannot afford another large outbreak in Nigeria.
The committee urges state governments to sustain advocacy for COVID-19 testing and vaccination, pointing out that the current 58% vaccination rate for the first dose of the Oxford AstraZeneca vaccine is nothing to cheer. 60,000 COVID-19 test kits were donated to the PSC by the Victims Support Fund. The risk of contracting COVID-19 is not over. This is why the Presidential Steering Committee says adherence to the preventive measures of wearing face mask, washing of hands, and observing physical distance should not be overbearing for Nigerians. In Abuja, Mitaire Ikpen, NTA News.
And latest figures from the Nigeria Center for Disease Control is that the 26th of April shows that 37 new cases of the coronavirus have been recorded in 6 states of the Federation, bringing the total number of confirmed cases to 164,756 in Nigeria. Out of the new infections, Lagos topped the list with 26 cases, followed by Ogun with 4 cases. Kaduna, Rivers, and Kwara have 2 cases each, while Edo recorded 1 new case. Meanwhile, 154,963 persons have been discharged, while 2,062 deaths have been recorded across the country, sadly. We now join our sports desk for sports update.